Hello and welcome to this edition of the Halcyon Show. My name's Lord Rising and I'm going to be your host for this episode. Let's talk about a game that I was so excited to review and so excited to play while I was playing it that this is my second take of this review because I was so excited to talk I didn't plug in the goddamn microphone. As a matter of fact, let's just cut to me muffled and talking, shall we?
The soundtrack, badass heavy metal, hip hop inspired, frantic, just makes you want to go, wah!
Yeah, you deluded maniac. Anyway, my point is that I'm ecstatic to talk about this game. Dreading it as well, because it means I've got to move on to something else after I review it. One Finger Death Punch 2. If that doesn't captivate your attention with the title alone, come on now. Released on the 15th of April 2019 by Silver Dollar Games, it's currently priced around £5, £6, something like that. Man, what value for money this game has. A ton of content. A mountain of different attacks, abilities, an art style that's dripping with charisma and detail and passion, a soundtrack that's frantic, beautiful at the same time, a wealth of different animations, death animations, combat animations, different game mode types. This, and not only that, it harkens back to something called Xiao, which I'll talk about in a second. This game is one of the reasons why I'm glad to be reviewing games. This is as good an indie game as I've played. This may, if it isn't the best, it's a razor's edge close second. This is a fantastic game. What's the premise of the game? You have two buttons, forwards and backwards, and that is it. You're a stick figure. You've got to take on reams of other stick figures amongst other things within the challenges. And the idea, if you're in the campaign mode, is to get through all the levels, and there's a lot. You also have different modes, survival, the cat moving one. So there's a cat in the middle of the screen, you've got to move out of the way so you can play the game. It might sound like it's going to get tedious after a while only having two buttons. Trust me when I say that this game utilizes this mechanic to the nth degree, ingenious ways that makes the player, you're in awe of the developer at this point. You can't believe that they put this much time and dedication into making what effectively boils down to an old school Xiao game into something that's fun. Just tons of fun. So let's back up a little bit. Again, as I was mentioning, you get attacked from both sides by reams of stick figures, something akin to Xiao. Xiao was something back in the day that I was into and a bunch of my friends were into. Stick figure fighting, basically. Around the time that the Matrix films got released, everyone wanted to sort of make their own action sequences, but you know, none of us could draw, so you make stick figures do all these things, and that evolved into its own art style for a while. It died out and simmered out for a bit. This game brings it back. It's fantastic. As you're playing the game, enemies will attack you from both sides, and the idea is to time your attacks within a bridge either side of your character, and then that bridge widens and narrows. Different enemies take different hits, so they might need a combination. There are boss type enemies that might need a combination plus other different types of combinations. There are enemies that will only go down with certain hits, such as shot enemies, which can contribute to challenges within the campaign mode. There's just tons of different variations, which is where the game is genius. It sticks to a core mechanic. Simple, effective, easy to play, and based entirely on the skill of the player. This game never, ever felt cheap. This game never ever did anything to make me feel less adept as a player, and only ever rewarded me for my persistence. This game never felt the need to beat me over the head with challenge for the sake of challenge. This game rewards you when you overcome challenges, but more to the point, encourages you to take that challenge. But by the same token, you can use revenge tokens, which you earn throughout the course of the campaign, to make the game a little bit easier on you. So you also have a limited number of hits that you can take, 10 to 3 per level, and there's going to be levels indeed where you can only take one hit, and even then you take the one hit and the level's over. You also have a certain number of misses that you're allowed, so if you miss time an attack, it counts as a miss. If you attack someone that's not within the window of the attack field, then you will take a miss. The other thing you need to bear into consideration as well is that there are throwing weapons or other aspects of the map that are going to come into play that you're going to need to interact with and time. For instance, throwing weapons can be interacted with a number of different ways, not just deflected or caught or dodged. You can do all three, and sometimes when you do this, it can have an effect on combat because you can then utilize different throwing weapons to mitigate enemy types. So bosses, for instance, take a ton of hits and a ton of time to take down, but only one throwing weapon. So if you can time your attacks correctly, and once you start to get to grips with the ebb and flow of the game, you feel like a kung fu master, man. On top of this, the skill points that you earn throughout the course of the campaign, that you beat different levels of different amounts of enemies. At the moment, I'm around 300 enemies per map. You unlock different abilities that become playable in the game, and this is where the game's character really shines through. So forget for a second that the death animation, so every time you take out a guy, it's wah, 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 shah, axe to the head, that sort of thing. It's fantastically animated. Take that out of the equation for a second, which by the way is a great amount of satisfaction. Then you have the different skill points. These are abilities that enable you to enhance your character throughout the course of the game. These are limited to things like taking out bosses in one single flourish hit. Same with some of the renegade characters. You can change everyone on the map to take one hit. You can give yourself shield, extra health bonuses. You can make it so that weapons drop for you. You can also introduce the death ball, which is brilliant. It's like football, only it kills people. Lightsabers, chainsaws, and also different elements of combat that rarely introduce themselves, but you can't just choose at will. I think that's an intentional thing on the developer's part, so that gamers don't start spamming these abilities, but have them on hand if they ever need them. For example, it would be very easy for me to spam the widening of the street. So basically, if you have a wide enough field of attack, you can just bounce back and forth between enemies, taking them out left and right. But when the field starts to shorten, you have to time your attacks a bit more fluidly to make sure that you're not going to get caught up in a boss battle for too long. The game is balanced so beautifully. The levels themselves just feel so well refined. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a flat plane, and the levels themselves don't really play a tremendous part except for in certain challenges like the horror, where you have to kick people into machinations in the background that get chopping up and blah. Again, brilliant. But the game itself feels just tremendously well balanced and honed and prepped to make the game player feel powerful, feel like a kung fu master, man. It's brilliant. It really is amazing. Add to this the design in this game. Everything looks beautiful. Everything looks fantastic for what it is. Colourful, vibrant, detailed, yet somehow simplistic at the same time. Again, the death animations, the animations of the flourishes kick in and just help to move the game onwards constantly. There's always this constant feel of progression and surging forward. There's never a dull moment in this game, except for when you go to the maps and you choose your next endeavour. Again, I focus mainly on the campaign mode in this game, but it is worth mentioning there's a ton of different modes in this game. And they're not just variations of the same mode. They all feel unique, they all feel different, they all offer a different challenge, and they all have their own different sets of rewards. There's even a co-op mode. A game like this, with a co-op mode, come on, son. And that's, I think, the highest compliment I could pay this game. It has everything you could possibly want, not just in an indie title, but a AAA title as well, only with the scale shortened back down. But they've done the thing of distilling the fun into its core element and just focusing on that, rather than worrying too much about, well, is this going to get boring? They just get on right with the business of, right, how do we make this more fun? How do we give the player more of a surge of adrenaline as he's playing? And again, I never felt cheap while playing this game. I never felt conned while I was playing this game. The variations of the modes and the variations of the combat, the animations, how fun it was just to sit and listen to, that speed metal in the background, and the cherry on the cake. This is the kicker. And again, I know we shouldn't talk about this all too much as reviewers, I guess, but that price point, even if it's £6.49, which I think is what it is right now, it's not on sale or anything, £6.49, for the amount of levels that you have. I think in the campaign mode alone, there's probably going to be about 150 to 200 levels. And each of them are going to take you a minute if you do them, probably 3 minutes a piece. And that's if you do them the first time. Some of them are going to require multiple playthroughs. The revenge tokens help ease the player into the harder difficulty levels. The skill points keep you angling for another play. The pick up and play nature of it. This game represents so much value for that money. You wonder why they're not charging more. This is one of those rare games where I'm kind of like, I kind of wish they'd charge more, because this is the kind of game you want to see more of. So much passion, so much dedication, so much quality, and tons of fun. This is the quintessential indie game. If you have never played this game before, I urge you, I implore you to go and check this one out. It's been out for a while now, so there's no reason not to go pick it up. It's on Steam at the moment, again, for around £6, £7, something like that. If you can get it on there, great. It's also available on other platforms like the Xbox, I believe. Go play it on that. I can imagine the graphics even sailing even further with there. Silver Dollar Games have made a brilliant game, and you need to go check it out. So, One Finger Death Punch. I've spoken for 10 minutes solidly about this game. I could have gone for another 15. It's brilliant. It's a fantastic game. Have you played it? If so, what were your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, were you into Xiao Xiao like me back in the day? If so, let me know what some of your old favorite Xiao Xiao shorts were. I remember there being a takeoff of Max Payne. I remember there being another one where it's like, I forget what the name of it was called. It was like, the baddie was called Stockwell. He's been after the dojo again, hasn't he? Yes, he has. It was the cheesiest shit you've ever heard in your life, but it was good. It was good. It took me right back. Remember Xiao Xiao? No? Not sound like me? Okay. Well, you will after this. It's dope. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching this edition of The Halcyon Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out some of the other content creators in the description below. Also, some of the other videos that I've been doing. Stay tuned for the Let's Play of this one, because you better goddamn believe I'm making a Let's Play of this video. I hope you're staying indoors, and I hope you're staying safe. I've been your host, Lorne Risley, and I'll see you on the next edition of The Halcyon Show. Don't play One Finger Death Punch. Come here. Come here now.
Masterful. Skill point collected.